Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worth Your Time. I am Jared,
Ben.
and today we are discussing the 1984 film Ghostbusters.
I have never seen Ghostbusters. This is my
I
first time.
know, I know.
I
I'm
I don't know how to feel.
yeah, okay, that was my go-to question. So this is like I want to say this is only like my third time seeing this. I saw this way later in life too. Like this wasn't a movie that I grew up with and had nostalgia and
Yeah.
stuff for. Like I watched it for the first time when I was like 18 or 19. And then I watched it again before the newer one came out, Afterlife, with my ex because she had never seen them.
Yeah.
And then now watching them again with you, I appreciate it a lot more. Like the first time I saw it, going into it, it had all this hype around it for so long. Like I was always told, like, "Oh, Ghostbusters is such a classic movie. Like it's so good. Everything's perfect about it. Like it's like it's up there with Star Wars and Indiana Jones and stuff like that." And after I watched it, I was just kind of like, "Okay, yeah, it's good." But you know, I don't think it's on that level. But now watching it again, a third time even, I'm like, okay, there wasn't a lot of stuff like this then,
Yeah.
and the humor still holds up
Oh yeah.
for me. And even some of the visuals for the time are impressive, like to think that they were doing that stuff in 84 and like crap like freaking God, I can't even think of a bad example. I'm trying to think of a really terrible like CGI example. But Godzilla 2000, okay? That
Okay.
CGI looked absolutely terrible and horrible. And this was 84 and the visuals are like better than
Oh
that.
yeah, the
So, I don't know.
amazing demon dogs or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think that was
Claymation.
uh
Stop motion.
yeah, yeah, or puppets even. Yeah. Um but anyway, enough of my thoughts. I'll get more into ratings later. I want to know, Ben, did Bustin make you feel good?
Busing always makes me feel good. But this movie, okay, it's overrated. It is overrated.
so you, so you have the same thoughts I did when I
Yes.
first watched it.
I don't
Okay.
have that nostalgia.
Okay.
Coming at it is
Mm-hmm.
just a movie. It's a good movie, but it's not like I guess there just wasn't a lot of movies to choose from that time. Like not like at this level. So I don't know. It just
Yeah.
feels overrated. It's not as big and extravagant as people said it was. Maybe big and extravagant is the wrong word. Just not as charming.
Monumental. Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like I mean the humor was funny, but it was definitely like forced. Like those situations
Well,
wouldn't happen
so
organically. It felt like jokes left and right just for the sake of jokes left and right.
one thing I do know, a lot of this movie was ad-libbed. So I mean, you get like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. You get them all together, they are just gonna like start
Yeah.
cracking jokes. Like one of the things I was reading the trivia going through it because I mean, like I said, this was like the third time watching it, so I wasn't like super paying attention. But I was reading some of the trivia. The scene where Peter says to Egon, like, "Oh, you would have drilled a hole in your head if I hadn't stopped you or something," and he was like, "That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me or something." That was ad libbed. Like that wasn't scripted, and I
Nice.
think that's one of the funniest parts. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, I
it
feel
would have
like
worked if you didn't stop me.
the characters like relationship between each other was great, except for what's his face, the black guy.
Winston,
What's his name?
Winston,
Winston. He was there,
Winston. Yeah.
but for like he was not there. Like he just kind of showed up
Yeah.
halfway through the movie and did nothing.
Well, it's funny you say that. So here's
Oh boy,
another
you're
little
gonna
piece of
drop some
trivia
lore on
because
me.
I'm just filled I'm filled with trivia. So that part was originally written for Eddie Murphy,
Okay.
and he was going to be one of the original Ghostbusters. Like he was going to be there in the very beginning and stuff, and be throughout the whole movie. Then they couldn't get the part, or they couldn't get him to agree to it. So instead, they got this other guy, and they were like, "Well, since he's not famous like Eddie Murphy, we're just gonna cut him out and cut him down a lot." And so that's why they only gave him, like, brought him in halfway through, and he just, barely does anything. But
Wow.
a lot of people like him
So
a
they
lot.
relied on star
Like,
power.
he, yeah, yeah. But I mean, some people really like Winston, and some people have him as their favorite Ghostbuster. So he gets some more love in future movies because I do
Okay.
like him. I like
Yeah,
Winston. I
yeah.
like how he's just
I
kind of
don't think
like,
he was a bad
yeah,
character. It's just like one of the main crew. You don't see him.
yeah, yeah. He's kind of treated as more of like background kind
Oh
of
yeah,
thing, and I think that was the fault of, you
the
know
writing and the casting and that sort of
they
stuff.
just, yeah, they were just kind of like, whatever, we didn't get Eddie Murphy, whatever, we're just gonna forget
Yeah.
it.
So I don't know.
But
I don't have that nostalgia filter. This movie feels like a good time to just sit down with a beer and just have fun. But it
yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
feel like it doesn't feel like a blockbuster. And obviously it was. Like it did really well. But
Hmm.
I don't know that I would watch this movie over and over again like I do other movies. I feel like I would maybe watch this once,
Yeah,
maybe twice, and then I'm good. You know.
yeah. So with this movie going into it for me, um, you know, when I was getting ready to watch it, I was thinking like, oh, okay, it's gonna have that same feeling that like Indiana Jones and Back to the Future and Star Wars and stuff has. And it's like, oh, everybody hypes this up so much. And there is so much like nerdy stuff for it, like pop culture
Yeah.
stuff all the time. You see Ghostbusters merch and stuff. So it's like, okay, it's going to be that same kind of groundbreaking big universe. And I'm going to be involved in it. I'm going to want to see more and watch it over again. But it's not like that. And I think that's what kind of took me off guard the first time, and I wasn't too into it. I kind of felt more like this is just a grounded, simple movie that a lot of people like, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
unique.
why there's so much. Yeah, yeah. And the fact that it's not based off a book, it's not based off a comic, it's not based off anything, makes it even more unique, because so much stuff spanned off of it.
I think this movie suffers is the wrong word. This movie has that thing where it's the first movie. So it doesn't accurately represent the entire series. Because Star Wars is
Hmm.
like that too. The very first Star Wars movie is like pretty cut and dry. And it's not until like the
Hmm.
second one that you actually start getting like character development and actually start caring about these characters. And a lot of like movies at the beginning of a trilogy or series or whatever are like that. Like they're just like they're setting the groundwork or like they don't know what it is yet. And you talked about earlier where like it's this big grand thing and there were toys, there were all kinds of like hype about it. But was there this much hype when this movie came out? Or did that hype develop throughout the years as like there was a second movie or like there were toys? Was just this movie that exciting to people?
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it might have been more to younger people at the time, but I'm like I wasn't around then, neither were you. Like who's to say? But I don't think there was as much hype as like there was for Star Wars, as there was for stuff like that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the you see the pictures of like people lined up in line to get tickets for Star Wars and stuff, and it's
But
insane.
were people lined up
Like
like that for
that
the
stuff didn't
first Star Wars
happen back
movie?
then.
No.
For the well, yeah, after all the reviews and stuff came out, but I'm saying like even with this, it wasn't like that. It was just a movie,
Yeah.
whereas Star Wars was more of kind of like, oh, this has never happened before. This is insane. Like, this is this huge thing. This was still just like, oh, this is a good movie. Like, everybody should go see it. And
Yeah.
everybody kind of had that attitude. Like, yeah, this is a good movie. So with everyone saying that, it kind of built to this more bigger thing than it actually is. Because it's just a grounded story. It's no big wide world. Like, yeah, they took comics afterwards and they made an animated show and they made video games and stuff, but it just started with this. And this isn't a huge big thing. It wasn't trying to be. And so that's why I feel like it kind of has that like disappointing factor almost.
See, I feel like the beauty of this is what this is going to sound really cheesy, but like your childhood imagination goes wild with it. Because they're like, these are just normal dudes doing this incredible thing, and that's the theme in a lot of movies. But like, this one was just such a hit. It was so unique and so fun, and like colorful and interesting. That I don't know. It just like it set off the imagination. And like
Yeah.
the set design, the creature design, like the freaking proton pack is like one of the most iconic pieces of like movie technology ever. Like, just
Anytime
awesome.
I put on a leaf blower, I'm like, man, I'm busting some ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's, don't cross the streams.
and then not to mention too, like, we can't forget to talk about the theme song. The theme song is huge.
Boston
Like,
make me feel
I mean,
good.
seriously, think about it. Like, people who haven't even seen Ghostbusters, you who had never seen
Me.
Ghostbusters, you knew the theme, you know?
You disappear.
Everybody knows that tune. Even you, who had never seen the movie, you knew the theme, and you knew it's iconic, and you like it.
Yep.
Exactly. So I honestly feel like that kind of helps. Like, everybody, like, my point is, even people who haven't seen the film, even people who don't have a desire to see the film, know that song and know that little tune, and that kind of boosted its popularity, because it's not every day that like a movie's theme song is played on the radio and is included in like 80s best hits and stuff like that, but that one is.
I feel like that sort of time period was where movies had like songs about the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the song was very much like an ad for the movie.
Yeah, but it worked. It incredibly worked.
Yeah.
Like, that song's that's a banger.
Oh yeah.
It's great. So, I guess we'll go ahead and there's not really a spoiler discussion for this. Like, I'm not gonna get too much into the plot or anything. It's Ghostbusters. People who haven't seen it
catching
probably
ghosts.
aren't gonna watch it. Yeah, exactly. And people who have seen it know the plot of Ghostbusters. So,
worth your time?
Worth your time. That's
at least once.
Yeah, that's my whole point. Like, it's like, if you haven't seen it, give it a shot. Like, who knows? You might really vibe with it. You might really click with it, and
but temper your expectation.
You might like it more than both of us. Yeah, but don't go into it thinking it's this huge thing that's on the levels of other huge 80s sci-fi, fantasy kind of movies.
Yeah. Just think it's a fun movie.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. And I know we're going to get to the sequels. Ghostbusters 2, we'll talk about another day. But I'm really excited about the third one, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the newest one before this new one coming out. Came out in 2021.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's my favorite. It made me like actually care.
Are we going to watch the He Shall Not Be Named Ghostbusters movie?
No, we're not watching that.
Come on.
So I watched that with my ex whenever we were watching all the movies for the first time because she had never seen them, and I'd only seen the first one. So we watched two, and then we watched the 2016 one just because, you know, it's not even in the same universe. It's different, like, you know, it's a reboot. And then they went back on that and went back to the original series, which was a good idea because that movie freaking sucks. Like, it's not just because they're women. It's just like none of the humor works. Like this movie from the 80s where the humor should be dated and stuff
I want
works
to watch
so
just the
much
dunk on
better
it now.
than that. Well, we don't have time.
We watch Avatar.
Yeah, I know, but there wasn't like other Avatar movies to watch. You know, this it's like we still have two more movies in the Ghostbusters series, and we have another series to get into, which we'll talk about after we rate Ghostbusters. Because I know we said worth your time, but I want to know your rating. I want to know what you give this movie.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Here's the thing. I have a number in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to hurt people.
Okay.
The movie alone, not talking about hype, not talking about, you know, the banger theme song, but just the movie in of itself. It's about a 4.
Wow. Oof. That's rough. But I mean, like, hey, I respect it, you know? Like, for me, and this is even kind of low, but I'd give it a 7, maybe even a 6. I don't know. For right now, it's a 7, but I definitely said the first time I watched it, I would have given it like a 5 or a 6. I was
Yeah.
very disappointed the first time I watched it. Now, kind of
And
just
that's
like
how I feel right
appreciating
now.
it. Yeah. Kind of appreciating it for the movie it is. A 7 is what I'd give it.
I can only rate it how I feel. I mean, it's meant to be an off-the-cuff rating.
Mm-hmm. And I respect it. I don't know how other people will react to it, but I mean, hey.
They're going to hate me, but I'm sorry. When you
Yeah.
give all this expectation, it's just kind of like, not, but just,
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Maybe
bad.
Our girlfriend's boyfriend would rate it higher.
My goodness. If that guy sees this video full circle, I would be so happy.
If that man had the audacity to leave the comment on the short and then sits here and watches a 20-minute Ghostbusters review from us,
I'm putting this in the short.
that would be hilarious. I mean, hey, we'll take the view, buddy. Like, I mean, it's cool. Okay.
That was funny. I was just sitting there going, he thinks I'm worthy of having a girlfriend. That's so sad.
I know.
So sad.
I wanted to respond back and be like, yeah, well, joke's on you. I'm single.
Joke's on you. I'm divorced.
Yeah, I'm happily divorced, actually. That's a true story. That's not a joke. I'm actually happily divorced. But anyway, Ben, do you want to know what we're watching next?
Kung Fu Panda 2.
No.
We have to get through all of them and the Ghostbusters
series.
How are we gonna?
I know.
You're rolling
We're gonna be running three series. We're running 3 series at once, baby.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it's nice because I don't get bored, but at the same time, it's like, don't we gotta get through these?
Yeah, we do. Kung Fu Panda the most. Ghostbusters doesn't come out, the new one, till next weekend. So we got time. There's only 2 more movies. And then this one that we're starting right now, there's 4 movies in total, but it doesn't come out until 2.5 weeks from now. So, but anyway, Ben, drum roll, please. Oh, stop! We just got through
4, 5, 6. That's like approaching 10 movies. You're doing another Oscars.
On 2, 2, 4. That's 8. That's not that bad.
Yeah, I said approaching 10.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, do you want to know what it is or not?
we've just watched 2 movies, so that's first movies of the Oscars.
Do you want to know what we're watching?
Okay, hold on. Do I know that this thing that's coming out is related to this? How we watched a trailer for it.
Yeah, we watched the trailer for it.
Oh, dang. I mean, okay, what is it? There's no point
You've been
in
asking
me
for
guessing.
it. We're watching Godzilla.
Yeah!
We're starting the
I love
monster
stupid
universe.
monster movies.
We're starting the monster universe because
I've only seen
of
the first
new
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Okay, cool.
The first MonsterVerse Godzilla.
Okay, cool. So we'll rewatch that, and then we've got 3 movies after that that you have not seen, because the new Godzilla Kong movie is coming out at the end of this month, and I kind of like
Oh,
the
yeah.
monster verse, even though it's kind of dumb. I like it. It's
Yeah, it's just dumb
like you
fun.
said in Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's a fine wine, and then like you're a beer guy. I feel like Godzilla is the Miller Lite of beers. And that's a compliment for me.
It's like
I drink Miller Lite.
I mean,
Man,
I
giving
don't
that guy
watch
more stuff to
Transformers for the
work with.
plot.
God, Transformers.
All right,
I
Jared.
need to be a few beers in.
So we're watching
What?
Godzilla. It may not be the best series, but it doesn't matter because you're just gonna have to go with it.